Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yeah, go, go, go. She's this will every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave.
Let's fight.
System, I don't want to be saved. I've been doing shit the highway, on the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip a switch and you can go and obtain anything you want.
Ready, bro. Firing all cylinders. Reaction time there, speed there. Spoke. That's what's getting. That's what got him ready. Spoke. Good.
Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Good. Stay in your rhythm, champ. Stay in your rhythm. Your rhythm, your time, your fight. Let's go.
He's trying hard. Good try. It's effort.
Looking at the way Stevenson is preparing for Teofimo Lopez, it's obvious this camp isn't designed around cruising once the fight settles. Everything points toward enduring the opening storm and taking command of the madness early, instead of waiting to look sharp only after the danger has passed.
How many rounds you do today? 17, right?
Teofimo does his most serious damage early, which is why Shakur's preparation is centered on instant resistance, not slow build-ups. His conditioning is stacked with high-tempo rounds, minimal recovery time, and scenarios where he has to re-establish space the second is crowded. The idea is to make intensity feel routine instead of suffocating, so scoring and controlling rounds under fire feels just as natural as boxing comfortably when the pace finally slows.
So that's why we'll do that same but the word early kid. Just take I got you on my time. You got it?
Another major focus has been tightening up the tiny defensive gaps that surfaced in his last few outings. Against Teofimo, a single clear connection can change everything. That's why every jab, every check hook, is now chained to an exit, either a step out or a pivot. No posing after punches. No lingering in range. Nothing that invites Teo to believe he can muscle his way inside and get rewarded for it.
Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. There we go, there we go. Left 15, all the way down.
I feel great. Those sprints kind of be getting me right, get my conditioning right. Sometimes in a fight could turn into a sprint. Cause it's like, to start the pace fast as hell and then they can't keep up the pace, but the sprints will kind of get you in shape to where once you break down, sometimes you get a second win, then you get another win, then you get another win after that. So I did the sprints a lot in a Jamel Herring fight. That's why you see me fight at a fast pace, and then once I slowed down I picked it back up and I had all the energy in the world to do it. So we locked in.
Shakur's footwork isn't about endlessly circling the ring. It's precise, measured movement that keeps Teofimo within reach but off-kilter enough that clean shots are hard to come by. On the mental side, The camp is focused on dissecting TEO's patterns, how he lunges, how he commits to single punches, and how he hesitates afterward. By the middle rounds, those bursts start to feel familiar, almost predictable, instead of threatening. The strategy isn't about landing a single knockout or overpowering Teofimo. It's about making him miss in the early rounds, countering consistently, and quietly chipping away at his confidence. Over time, those explosive attempts start to lose impact. Put simply, Shakur's camp is building a fight where TEO has to expend more effort for smaller gains, turning the bout into a controlled, methodical grind that slowly tips the balance in Shakur's favor.
Yeah, let's do the rest centered up, I think.
Oh, centered up? Okay, yes. Yeah, so he's looking right in the camera?
Yeah, because he's talking to them.
Yeah, I'll land a punch on him. For sure.
Do you believe your opponent underestimates you?
I think my opponent is underestimating me because he said that I'm a slow one. He thinks that I'm too small.
This is where Shakur Stevenson's methodical approach collides with all the surrounding chatter. When a camp is designed to handle chaos calmly, the debates start to feel less like theory and more like reality. Listening to Sean Porter and the analysts banter back and forth, you can hear the real point lurking beneath the humor. Fans crave brutality, yet we often criticize fighters who navigate it perfectly.
Extremely smart.
Okay.
I can guarantee you this is what Shakur is going to do. Shakur is going to come out middle of the ring, work that jab, work that pawn that he does, all that, the feints. He's going to try to touch him with the jab, but he's going to be waiting on his moments to snap with that right hand, waiting on his moments to counter, waiting on his moment. And when they're not there, he's just going to slide off, go for that little walk.
Porter's discussion about resets, controlling distance, and managing the pace isn't about slowing things down for show. It's a strategy to sap Teofimo Lopez of momentum, a fighter who thrives on finding rhythm and timing. Disrupt that, and his threat level drops.
Right off, restart. Shakur is the kind of fighter that does not mind restarting. That was our thing, was once we start, we want to do the best we can to get away from another restart, because the restart allows you to reset, allows you that space, and stuff like that.
And when fans insist that Shakur has to show the dog, it's almost funny. Dogs take hits, and Shakur's entire career is about not getting hit in the first place. People gripe about movement, then remember Teofimo has had quiet, uneventful nights too, and suddenly the argument fades. That's boxing in a nutshell. The unpredictable factor is still there, though, because one sharp moment from Teofimo can change everything.
The thing that I like about Shakur, though, is, we already know the statistical numbers in terms of how much he gets hit per round and even per fight, which is
low.
But the other side of that is offensively, he's very active.
Shakur's victories come from methodically eliminating opportunities, round by round. My perspective: the more fans demand that he fight differently, the more he leans into exactly who he is. He isn't chasing applause. He's chasing control over each minute. If Teofimo can't compel exchanges, that restlessness becomes a tactical advantage, a kind of shadow boxing with real consequences.
Like that he might throw 30, 40 punches around, he's usually on point when he throws. He don't miss. He finds his moments and then he turns it on. The difference is when he turns it on is he's delivered that power to a point where we actually sit back and all right, round after round, like, all right, he's losing.
This isn't a debate about skill versus excitement. It's about whether patience gets unfairly punished for being subtle. That's what makes this fight so intriguing from both sides. Chaos only matters if you allow it, and Shakur's training is designed to never give it. If he maintains control, some will call it dull, even as precision unfolds flawlessly. If chaos does break through, everyone acts surprised, despite having wanted it all along.
Oh, listen, man, we're talking about a situation. We're talking about a situation where a fighter could be smart enough to just be right on point. What I mean by that is we could be in a situation where both these guys.
Either way, someone's reality is going to crack, and that's what keeps me glued. Watching with focus, setting aside bias, waiting for discipline to be tested under real pressure. Not online chatter, not old highlights, but the raw consequences playing out in the ring, round by round.
the moments to steal moments in every round and steal rounds and actually win on the scorecards simply because he did just a little bit more. Simply because he was just a little bit more active. I don't know.
And right after Potter broke down resets and patience like a veteran who's lived through those moments, Bernie Face steps in and shifts the perspective, calmly, without raising his voice. His point is clear. Most people aren't seeing what this fight is really about. Bernie noted that Shakur isn't just tough to hit. He operates in that tricky space where you feel bold enough to strike, but just out of reach enough to look foolish. And I get it, because that's the Mayweather effect he's describing, not flashy moves, just quiet frustration building round after round.
No, well, Shakur has the ability to diffuse you, so I think he has the Mayweather effect where he can diffuse you. It's just on if he's going to take the more risk, to stamp his victory, you know what I mean? He gonna let his hands go in the times that he could using his speed, so that's just what I think it is with that. I think he know how to nullify what you're doing.
When Bernie highlights that Teofimo hasn't been at his dominant best lately, it feels less like criticism and more like a caution. You can't afford to show up half-hearted against someone who turns calm into control. He pointed out that Teo takes hits, loses crispness, and slows down, and all of that counts when you're facing Shakur Stevenson, a fighter who doesn't chase greatness, he methodically earns it. I like how Bernie framed it. This is Shakur's fight to define himself, not Teo's, a subtle kind of pressure that can decide everything.
He leads in some fights, he's not as capitalized as much as you think he could, so I think that's going to be it. If you make him miss, make him pay 2 or 3, not just one counter punch, So I think that's the thing will be about it. And I'm sure that he will, I'm sure that he will. Of course, he's going to be a little cautious at first, but Teo ain't knocking nobody out neither.
You're not just facing the person across the ring. You're battling expectations, promotion, fame, and your own patience. Bernie pointed out that Teofimo had a clear path after Lomachenko and let it slip, and that hit hard, because boxing doesn't pause for anyone to feel ready. Then he cut to the uncomfortable truth. If you can't land on Shakur, how are you supposed to hurt him? Suddenly, all the talk about raw power starts to sound theoretical. I couldn't help but laugh when Bernie questioned the idea of Teofimo's mythic strength. Facts don't bend for highlight reels, and recently, his results haven't matched the hype. Comparing Shakur to Mayweather's ability to neutralize opponents wasn't praise, it was a diagnosis. You can swing all night, but if nothing connects cleanly, confidence erodes. And when Bernie said this fight will determine if Shakur steps into superstardom, that weight hit, winning alone isn't enough anymore. It has to feel undeniable. We're watching to see if control finally gets its due, or if chaos takes the spotlight once again.
So the kid, he in a good position, and if he is able to win against Teofimo Lopez, he will be a lineal champion in 2 weights. And okay, Teo, he's done that. So if he beats Teo, he equals that accomplishment, and he beats him. So I would definitely say he's the best boxer. He's the best.
Right after Bernie paints Shakur as this quiet frustration machine, Jose Benavidez Sr. steps in, sounding like the veteran at the gym who's seen too many skilled fighters undone by their own habits. That's when the tone subtly changes. Jose doesn't hold back. He calls Shakur insanely talented, but almost too disciplined. I laugh because that's a polite way of saying, yes, he'll win, but bring a coffee while you watch. When Jose talks about Shakur avoiding unnecessary risk, it's both respect and a gentle challenge. You could do more if you wanted. And when he references that one fight where Shakur stayed in the pocket and forced everyone to blink twice, that's the ghost hovering over this matchup. We've seen that version, and it makes every cautious performance feel like untapped potential. Jose isn't criticizing, he's analyzing. He's basically saying Shakur deliberately chooses control over spectacle, and you can't fault a man for safeguarding his future, even if fans crave fireworks.
Shakur Stevenson's fucking insane. He's good. He knows how to win fights. He doesn't risk as much, and I think he should because he's really good at it. but he just sometimes makes fights so boring. The only one that I like is the one that he fought and looked spectacular. Yeah, inside. He stayed inside. He showed. I was like, what the fuck? You know? And all the other fights, I would just fall asleep, bro.
Then Jose shifts the focus to Teofimo Lopez, and this is where it gets human. He calls Teo a showman, not in a mocking way, but in the sense that he does things you can't teach. And that hits because Teo's talent has always announced itself loudly. But Jose also slips in a quiet caution. Boxing punishes distraction, and Teo has had his share of it. That's not gossip, it's experience talking. When Jose says a focused Teo is dangerous, that's not hype. It's a conditional truth. Teo dialed in is a real threat. Teo unfocused is a question mark in gloves. I like that he refuses to pick a side, calling it 50-50ths, because that shows this fight isn't about style points. It's about who shows up complete. We're not watching just skill, we're watching discipline wrestle with temptation. And history tells us which one usually takes the spotlight when the lights go on.
They have so much talent and they just lose a little bit of focus in boxing will make you pay for that, you know? So I'm just hoping that he's 100% back and focused. And man, when he's focused, that guy is dangerous, you know? So if he's focused, we're having a great fight. We're having a good fight. And you can't blink because both of these guys have power. So, or they can hurt each other, you know?
When you put it all together, the way Shakur structured his camp to make chaos feel normal, Porter breaking down why resets and distance matter, Bernie highlighting that tricky space where confidence gets tested, and Jose emphasizing that discipline and focus define careers, it becomes clear this fight isn't about who's flashier or louder. It's about who can survive being themselves. Teofimo thrives on moments, emotion, and ignition. Shakur thrives on minutes, denial, and quiet control. One needs the night to accelerate. The other needs it to decelerate. That's why each round feels like a test rather than a highlight reel. A single clean disruption can swing the story, but consistent composure can rewrite it entirely. This isn't a battle of good versus evil or boring versus exciting. It's philosophy clashing with philosophy, gloves on. And with every bell, someone's truth is laid bare.
I'm just so happy that this fight got made, and I'm looking forward to see this fight.
Absolutely, man. It's nice to see these guys the best fight the best. Who do you favor in the fight?
I like I said, you know, both of them are so good, and like I said, whoever shows up that night is the one that's going to be more focused and take